I think at Walmart, we know that technology is only as powerful as the people behind it. So, building a learning culture isn't just important, it's very essential. Innovation wouldn't mean much if it's not inclusive. Because we do believe that the power of technologies such as generative AI and more to come can only be realized when we combine it with the strength of our associate base.
Welcome to the Coursera podcast, where we have conversations with renowned experts and industry leaders to explore global trends impacting the future of education and work. I'm your host, Anupriya, Vice President of Global Communications at Coursera. How do the world's biggest companies stay ahead in the time of constant disruption? For Walmart, it's about building resilient technology, embracing AI, and keeping employees, customers, and communities at the heart. In this episode, we will explore how they're navigating change and what it means for the future of work, leadership, and innovation. Our guest today is Anupriya Sharma, Vice President of Technology Strategy at Walmart, US. She has led major transformations across industry and now guides Walmart's efforts to modernize its supply chain, embrace GenAI, and shape the future of retail, all with a strong focus on the human side of technology. Today, we will talk about how she and her team are using technology to drive growth and doing it in a way that's thoughtful and people first. Anupriya, welcome to the Coursera podcast. We're excited to have you.
Thank you. Likewise, Arnav. Thank you for having me here. I'm excited. Let's get started.
Absolutely. Let's get started. So, Anupriya, you have an incredible background and you played a part in the digital transformation efforts across many different industries and now at Walmart, as you can imagine. What are some of the common challenges when you are leading changes at scale, and especially at the scale of Walmart?
See, there are a multitude of factors that can show up and be a challenge in transformations because all transformations have some common factors and some unique aspects. But if I look across common themes, even across industries, I would say that some that come to the top of my mind are a lack of a clear, unified view of the end state, especially across a senior cross-functional leadership. This then also sometimes creates a challenge where we have a lack of communicating a very clear why and why now. And this further then cascades across organizations and creates this lack of one vision, united point of view between design, requirements, user experience, which can then create a lot of opportunity in the space of governance and ultimately change management. So I know I gave out a lot of challenges here, but I think transformations that have really tight alignment at the top from the very beginning and very visible sponsorship, then backed by very effective change management and your communication of a very clear why now. It just helps land the transformation better and bring people along and take organizations through change much better.
Absolutely. And part of this change management in the era of rapid change is constant learning. And you have described yourself as a lifelong learner and an intrapreneur. So, especially in a company like Walmart, that could be extremely valuable when you're running so many initiatives. First of all, how do you personally define an entrepreneur? And how has the mindset shaped your approach to innovation and leadership?
I think intrapreneur is someone who is very passionate about finding, defining, owning, and solving problems inside a company. And they use the constraints and the limitations that the business model provides, just like a designer or a design mindset. They use them as kind of creative challenges that must be hacked to solve problems. And sometimes the problems that they solve are not problems yet. But the entrepreneur is a kind of a mindset or an individual that feels empowered to look at problem statements that may not be problem yet, but will ultimately unlock something like a significant business benefit or a user experience in a manner that cannot be ignored. And personally, for me, I feel I don't like to be confined thinking about the problems I think of or how I think we can tinker with them or experiment based on what my current role and level might be. That doesn't really dictate. I instead like to look at all the problems that we can solve, prioritize, and almost lead like I am the captain of the ship. And I think what it does is it creates this little infectious energy and it can motivate other like-minded folks to come together and solve very complex problems and difficult problems. And it also enables the right talent to not necessarily, feel like they have to accept why things are done a certain way, but we're continuously looking for ways to do it better. And I think that level of curiosity, and I would even say an entrepreneur has a little bit of good audacity to ask why. So it's almost this stubbornness of saying, here's a problem. What all are we thinking about? And question everything and go at it with a little bit more creativity.
I'm sure that that mindset requires tremendous amount of agility, and especially when you're leading technology strategy in a company as large as Walmart. Can you talk a little bit about what attributes that you need as a leader in order to affect change at that scale?
Building technology with the ambition of truly enhancing customer and associate experience, it requires constant learning and adaptability. And that's why we're always evolving. And we focus on developing solutions that are intuitive, they are scalable, they are reusable, they're seamlessly able to integrate into our operations as well, or they create opportunities for us to elevate how we operate as a company. So, by staying agile and ensuring our teams have the right tools and training, there are avenues to cater to curiosity and even further foster it. I think we continue to create technology that drives efficiency while keeping people at the center of the innovation. And one of the construct we keep reminding ourselves is that, look, at the center of everything is customers. So how the customers shop with us today is going to be very starkly different from how shopping will evolve probably in some months to a year, 3 years, and beyond. So technology hence becomes this enabler in not just meeting, but also anticipating how customer shopping preferences are going to change in the future, and then experimenting with all those possibilities. And this ever evolving retail landscape is what keeps us curious, requires for us to be agile, adaptable, and also, more importantly, excited about reinventing retail experiences. So right now, Arnav, if you'll see, we're all embracing across different industries generative AI, and we're purposely, deploying GenAI where it helps us to move smarter, faster, more efficiently. We're innovating still with a focus on what are the customer experiences, what are the associate experiences, how do we improve productivity, operations, content enhancement, developer productivity. And some of our wins over the past year as well include improved experiences, where we've used tools that have GenAI powered search or automated workflows that are not only helping our associates, our customers, but are also enabling how we partner and work with our suppliers, sellers, and our partners. So there's so many examples that come to my mind, but I think foundationally, we want to be a company, and we are a company that indexes a lot on tying back very directly with how it can help our customers save money, live better. And that requires for us to be curious, for us to be agile, for us to be learning, evolving, adapting, and being comfortable with that change.
In fact, you've made significant investment in GenAI as you embrace the opportunity and the promise of the technology. And I believe you also created what you call the AI Center of Excellence within Walmart as well. So what does it take to foster that culture where teams are willing to experiment? Because there's one part about giving tools, one part about technology, but it's also about ensuring that, people are doing this with responsible experimentation, especially when you touch so many millions of customers every day within the country?
It's a great question because I think there's such a buzz and excitement about GenAI, but we cannot lose sight of, integrity, ethics, security. Before I even get into the details, I would kind of reiterate one more thing, as the largest retailer in the world, the scale of our data is truly unmatched. And we serve our customers and our members in more ways than anyone else. So we also understand them more intimately and better than anyone else. And that insight is very critical as expectations shift because more and more customers want delivery. There's a level of immediacy that has come in within the hours. And in order to meet that demand, there's this hyper focus on us leaning into hyper personalization. And this is where, technology such as predictive generative AI allows us to forecast demand, optimize inventory flows, make faster delivery promises that are both appealing, competitive, and also cost effective for our customers. And I say all that to say, that ultimately is still the mission of the company and will always be. And that's why one of the most exciting developments has been how do we use the power of generative AI to create even more personalized shopping experiences, right? And continue to understand through data and technology who is shopping with us, who could be shopping with us, and how do we meet them and make that trip even more impactful for them. And that is why the best way to unlock this kind of a meaningful transformation is to actually, along with the customer, bring the associate in that transformation journey too. So we're not just investing in GenAI tools for our customers. We're actually, like I said, doing it for our associates as well. But while we're doing it, we're continuously also building a culture where responsible experimentation is encouraged and supported at scale. So through our AI Center of Excellence, we've created a very structured platform where teams can explore the potential of GenAI safely, ethically. Associates are given access to a curated list of GenAI tools that are approved for enterprise use, so they can test ideas using company data, but within the necessary guardrails. And we also partner very closely with our InfoSec team, to ensure that innovation doesn't come at the cost of safety. And that includes everything from robust data governance to very clear guidance on what's appropriate for experimentation. So that's kind of where we are at. And we're still early in the journey, Arunav. And there's lots more of exposure, education, because like I said, like curiosity is very much in the DNA and the fabric of who we are as a company and our associate base. And so that's why we have to move with speed. So it kind of ties back our conversation on agility as well, because we have to be in front of or running at par so that we can create environments for our associates, experiment and learn. And these are not just technology associates. We have associates from all different job families, including product, including our business functions that are very actively now learning generative AI and experimenting with it.
But you know what, Anupriya, everybody is in early stage. And that's the learning mindset that we have to have, not just as individuals, but as teams and as companies. Sort of this is day one for AI. This is not day 5 or day 10. This is really day one. And I think the kind of approach that you're being, a very human-centered approach to innovation and putting your customers and associate at the center is probably the right and ideal model for a company like Walmart. On one side, that is what you're trying to do. But on the other side, what your CTO, Hari Vasudev, talks about, how Walmart is using AI to shape the future of retail. Can you tell us a little bit about how you're using technology and how Walmart is approaching that, from what experiences you would like to give to your customers?
Yeah. So I would say the future of retail is defined very profoundly by personalized, hyper personalized shopping experiences. And the consumers or the customers are defining how, where, when, and why they will obtain products or they will come for experiences. And our success will depend on how well we anticipate and meet those evolving expectations. And we're accomplishing this through the use of technology like generative AI. There's a lot of augmented reality, virtual reality. There's still a lot of data-driven machine learning. There's a lot of intelligence automation that is being backed behind our ability to meet this evolving customer landscape, which will always evolve. So, for example, for shoppers that are doing, let's say, product discovery and research, Walmart's GenAI shopping assistant offers a better, faster, smarter experience to find what they need on walmart.com, as in the app as well as in the browser, right? And if you specifically go in the app and the browser, Walmart's GenAI search experience will allow customers to browse based on very specific use cases. So a customer going in and saying, what could be a good gift for a 5-year-old boy, versus somebody going and saying, I want to throw my friend a bachelorette party, should have a very different assortment that shows up. So we envision a world where retail is fully automated for customers, for associates, for developers, for our partners. We are AI assistants that can actually do everything from providing personalized shopping recommendations to even managing inventory, giving signals, to automating customer service, optimizing supply chain operations, and streamlining seller onboarding processes. And this is just to name a few. And we're just beginning, like you said, like many and like all, we're beginning to scratch the surface through the foundational capabilities we've developed. The next step is to then ensure our systems can actually adapt to these different constructs and contexts. And how do we connect them all together seamlessly? We can really create something unprecedented for customers and associates. And I will bring back that human in the loop and associate piece here as well, because we do believe that the power of technologies such as generative AI and more to come can only be realized when we combine it with the strength of our associate base. So in other words, we really need technology and people both to come together to drive innovation. And I think this is how we're constantly kind of evolving our technology landscape, because at all points in time, it's enabling inside our house. Their work is getting augmented when a lot of this analysis is done for them. For our customers, the shopping is becoming faster, seamless, more intuitive.
You talked about multiple personas, and as the world's largest retailer, you serve a very, very diverse customer base. How do you make sure that the innovations that you're investing in and the experiences that you're building, and you scale new technologies, it's inclusive and accommodates everyone?
I would say that innovation wouldn't mean much if it's not inclusive. So, as we scale new technologies, we're definitely approaching it with a people first mindset, which means we're designing digital tools that work for people at every level of the company and for different kinds of customers. Customers that shop with us today, customers that might shop with us in the future. And we're also careful to avoid biases as we develop, especially, AI kind of intelligent solutions. So we're creating very accessible learning opportunities as new tech is introduced for everyone inside our organization as well, so that we can use this a little bit more responsibly. And, more importantly, we involve a very diverse range of voices early and often, can reflect the people that we serve and the teams that actually bring it to life.
A lot of that would also be linked to the kind of learning approach that you have within the teams as well. Can you talk a little bit about, as the technology evolves, how you think about building a learning culture within Walmart, and one that helps your team, but also a broader workforce at Walmart? And I know Walmart has done some incredible learning innovations across the company. We would love to learn, our audience would love to learn how you approach these challenges.
I think at Walmart, we know that technology is only as powerful as the people behind it. So building a learning culture isn't just important, it's very essential, which means we have to make sure every associate has access to tools and training that help them individually grow within the business. So programs like Walmart Academy, Live Better You, College to Career, and Walmart's partnership even with Coursera provides our associates with access to tons of courses to uplevel their skills. So whether someone wants to build their leadership skills, learn how to code, transition to a tech role, start from a field, work in the store, and then get a degree and join a corporate home office jobs, we're all meeting them where they're at and helping them then take that next step. And I would say, just to, build a little bit more on enough tech forward courses that are especially related to generative AI right now are becoming very popular, as you can imagine. And they're becoming popular for a diverse set of associate base. Like I said, it's not limited just to our technology folks. There's broader curiosity, right? And so we recently also organized a masterclass on GitHub Copilot, and we actually saw 100% adoption rate in just Walmart's global tech organization as well. So what is exciting is that associates are applying what they're learning right away, and we're seeing an increase in developer productivity and also deployment success rates since our developers have started using Copilot. That's just one example, but there's so many more.
I can imagine. And to your point about interest in GenAI, we are seeing tremendous surge in demand for GenAI content on platform. In 2023, just to put this in context, there used to be one enrollment per minute. That increased to 8 enrollment in 2024. And now we have 12 enrollment per minute in GenAI courses. So, obviously the catalog is also expanding.
Yes.
But we are also excited. And a lot of these enrollments, Anupriya, you might appreciate it, is also coming from a lot of emerging regions and markets. So Latin America and APAC and Africa, which in a way creates a level playing field for people all around the world.
Yes. I think that's the beauty of this versus previous technologies as well. I think it's created this access and it's democratized how you access it. And it's permeated all aspects of our life. So there isn't a way to say, I think I can ignore it. I think it's embedded in social media. It's embedded everywhere. So it's very fascinating to be in the early journeys of this and see how it's permeating society and industries and education, so many sectors and industries.
So how do you keep up? How do you make learning part of your everyday life?
Yeah, you know what? Our founder, Sam Walton, he was driven by curiosity. His curiosity was centered on finding a way to give customers access to products at prices that they had not seen before. And I will say that spirit of curiosity still runs very deep in our Walmart's culture today. And it pushes all of us to keep learning about how our customers want to shop, who our future customers might be, how shopping itself is going to evolve. I don't say no to any avenue. So I use social media and all different aspects of social media. I'm learning through those hand-on experiences too. So I will give you shamelessly an example. If I were to go, let's say on an Instagram, on TikTok, and I had a creator or an influencer talk about a Walmart product, my experience very quickly has evolved where I would click and it would take me to our generic app. But now I have to search what is it that that influencer was showing. To now, when I click, it takes me to that exact product, exact color, what I want. So it makes it so fast and easy, almost dangerously so. And now when I'm going back into the app, it's remembering, my preferences. I think there's that kind of hands-on learning on, look, what all different customer experiences are happening. We're living in a world almost, Aruna, where there's inundation of information. And especially with generative AI, I can go on ChatGPT or Google and there comes a document and I can read it all. So I'm still a little old school. So I do a lot of that experimental, kind of reading. I like to read a lot of interviews, folks that are leading in the space of AI to really get into the space of, so what are the challenges? I'm curious about what are we discovering that continues to be a challenge. And then I read a lot of books. And I read books old and new both because I think some themes will never change. And that's how I keep my curiosity taken care of.
That's a fantastic balance. In fact, you've spoken, and books might be helping you do that as well. You've spoken a lot about the power of storytelling and empathy in leadership. Why do you think those skills are important, especially in tech roles where typically it's often very binary?
I think that's been a shift in more recent years. I would say if we go back to even a decade, we had a business function and then we had technology as an enabler sitting on a side, right? Even product was a construct that happened later. And essentially there was this demarcation of, I'm going to define the what, you then go and solve it. But what that does is that it allows us to then create solutions without understanding the context of who are we creating the solution for? Why this solution? What is the problem we're solving? What's the pain point we're solving? And I think if I zoom out of that now, right now technology and data are both very powerful enablers because they're really helping us better understand the needs of our user base. It could be our customers, employees, partners that we work with, whoever. And the shift in the last several years, forcing technology to pivot from a lever that just focused on the technical solve to become more interconnected with business strategy, with a design mindset, with product. And that now gives us the seat at the table to actively engage. Now, if we have to actively engage, I would say that, empathy and storytelling both become very important muscles to exercise. Empathy allows us to focus not just on the technical solve, but it allows us to also keep the user experience as the guiding voice in the middle. And it reminds us that what we're building is only as meaningful as the experience it's going to create for the people we're building it for. And not only is the end user, I think empathy is also so powerful because a lot of what we build are very platform mindset based solutions. It allows us to work very cross-functionally. It allows us to solve problems with that mindset. So it allows us to look for experiences, products on a more longer time horizon, more holistically. And it allows us to not fixate on, I got to go and geek on this technical solution, but actually connect it more meaningfully with dependencies, complexities. How do I create an experience that's going to sustain and actually be enjoyable? I would say the storytelling then becomes even more important because this need for a genuine connection, even if you're feeling the empathy, is very often delivered through the art of storytelling. And, GenAI is a great example. Social media is a great example too. Both have democratized access to all types of users. I would say storytelling is not just about crafting narratives and speaking eloquently. Its ultimate objective is to make something understood, relevant, worthy of the end user's curiosity so that they ultimately feel connected with that concept and it stays in their mind. And technology roles now more than ever, Arunav, they require folks to not just have the ability to build a solution but convey why they're making decisions, convey trade-offs along the way, drive a very direct connection with business priorities and more. And so storytelling allows us to elevate this conversation from status reports to very compelling user experiences and business impact. And it helps our stakeholders understand not just what we're building but why it matters so that technology can be leveraged early and actually can deliver the ultimate outcome that we want, which is great customer and associate experiences.
In a way, that human skills are still going to be really important, which is a good news. I'm going to be still in the job while you lead the chart on the technology side. But do you think that the more complex things become, more critical it will be to simplify that with empathetic storytelling, simple storytelling, so that people can really build connections with the things that you are actually trying to create value with?
Yes, absolutely. There are two skills in communication that are the toughest skills. One is listening more than talking. And the second one is actually keeping it simple. It's very hard to explain something, but when you know something really well, you actually can simplify and tell it very easily. In Walmart, sometimes we reference it and we say, keep it to kitchen English. Like we should be able to communicate. And I think simplicity just never leaves the room because you are a consumer of many goods and services too, Arunav. If you notice how your shopping behavior may have changed, or if you zoom out and look at what shopping behaviors we see in more advanced markets like China and India, for example, this level of immediacy is there, this level of make it convenient for me. Like we can say, never underestimate the power of laziness. So if that's the level of immediacy and convenience that we're feeling, we also want them to be spelt and called what they are. This is not poetry where we wanted to have like 5 references. And I think that is going to be ultimately very, very crucial. And it will translate into how we design technology too. Because in Walmart as well, we've existed for such a long span of time. We have some legacy tech stack, we have new, and we are continuously striving for that level of simplicity that allows us to still scale and also evolve.
Scale and evolve. That's a great point on which we can conclude the podcast. Anupriya, thank you so much for this insightful and rather energizing conversation. Your work at Walmart is a powerful example of how technology and human centered leadership can go hand in hand and what it looks like to lead with empathy and ambition in a rapidly changing world. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Arnav. Thanks for having me.
To our listeners, if you're looking to build in demand skills in areas like digital transformation, leadership, and AI, visit Coursera.org. Walmart associates through Live Better You program are using many of these same courses to grow their career, and you can too. If you enjoyed this episode of the Coursera podcast, please rate, review, and share. Until then, I'm Arunav Sinha. Thank you for tuning in.